welcome to another top 5 with Kris 05, guys. Today we're gonna be looking at all of the best decks with which you could be hitting easy legend in October. We're gonna check out 5 of the best decks, talk about their mulligans, win rates, and general tips, but we're also gonna check out all of the other working archetypes for each individual class, so you know what the meta is, and you have a better idea of what you could be facing. Hope you find the video helpful, and if you think I've earned your subscription, a like and a subscribe would be great. Now, let's get into it. Before we get into the best decks, I'd like to remind you, I started my very own Raid Shadow Legends channel from scratch, and we just passed 2,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate it if you give the new channel a check, and also try Raid Shadow Legends. Like, even if you've played this game before, I can tell you the game is much different nowadays, so much better, so much quality of life changes have been happening across the last few months, and if you haven't tried it before, I really think you should. Like, all of the bad-mouthing this game is getting because of its aggressive ad campaign really doesn't do it justice, because the game really is much deeper than you might think, and you can enjoy it both as a free-to-play player and not so free-to-play player, but yeah, the game really is high quality. There's really a lot of deep strategy to it, you gotta be thinking about a lot of things if you really want to get the most out of it, and there's so many broken strategies you could be using to do some really broken stuff, so yeah, definitely give it a try and see for yourself if this is the type of game for you or not. If you do decide to download the game for free and support the channel for free, by doing so, you would be getting yourself so many amazing champions right out the get-go, and you're even gonna have 48 hours to use one of the amazing promo codes, and right now for the first time ever, we have Ultimate Death Knight as a new promo code, so if you enjoy Death Knight in Hearthstone, you're definitely gonna enjoy Ultimate Death Knight in Raid. I also do live streams on my YouTube channel each Tuesday and Thursday where I do free account takeovers for people to help them out enjoy the game even more, so if you're having troubles after you've started, definitely hit me up and I'll do my best to help out. Now, let's get into the best decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is gonna be Leech Death Knight, and this deck still is as strong as ever. You have a lot of control tools, you have amazing blowout turns, and you have a good late game as well. So you really can't go wrong with Leech Death Knight, even though it is quite expensive. I do have plenty of detailed guides about how you could be piloting this deck, as well as how you could be building it. There are all sorts of different intricacies you could be swapping out cards for, but this right now seems to be the best performer for the last 3 days from Diamond to Legend. And the interesting cards that stand out here would be including Zephrys. Instead of Chill Fallen Baron, you still have a couple of Infested Breaths in here, but other than that, it does look pretty standard stuff. We even have Headless Horseman in here, so you can have some endgame potential so you don't run out of steam, but all around, the gist remains the same. You have the good Leech package, you have the good Corpse package, and you have the good Dragon package, and all of those combined really do pack a mean punch. For the matchups, we can see there's plenty of green stuff over here, like the only somewhat bad matchup would be Egg Warlock, and even that one is just barely under 50. So yeah, all around, you should be having a much easier time climbing with this than anything else right now. When going first, you are going to try to curve off with your good stuff. Creature of Madness is absolutely MVP because it gives you a broken free drop to follow up with. Morbid Swarm is amazing to get yourself corpses. Dreadhound Handler is pretty decent as well on that front. Infested Breath is a great control tool for the early turns, and also getting yourself a Leech ain't no joke. At least the Navigator is pretty nice. And with her, a lot of the time you're actually not even looking for the copy out of her, you're actually looking for the rushers plus the attack plus the Discover spell, that kind of stuff. There's really not that many things you want to be getting a copy of in this case, but getting yourself a 10 mana location in certain matchups is definitely not the worst thing in the world, so there's that too. The leeches are pretty nice, especially if you curve off into them, and the rest probably questionable, but in some cases you could be keeping some of these. On the coin, again, try to curve off as good as you can, and if you're curving into one of your 4 drops, you can definitely keep one of them. For other good Death Knights, you're gonna have to scroll a while till you can see anything other than Leech Death Knights from the top spots, but Hand Buff Death Knight is also pretty fun and good. We can also see Death Rattle Death Hunter apparently, which is kind of interesting. Haven't seen this one before, but you could be doing some Wakener of Souls shenanigans apparently, with High Cultists, with Travel Security, that kind of stuff. Space Death Knight is still pretty valid, and it is one of the free options you could be grabbing out of the loner decks right now, which I definitely think you should, but the rest is just iterations of those. On the number 2 spot, Quest Warlock is still wreaking havoc both in Top Legend as well as from Diamond to Legend, so if you want to be climbing fast and easy, this might be the deck for you. This again is one of the decks you could be picking out of the loner decks, even though it's not giving you a lot for your collection, it is actually a very strong pick. This is the variant that's working best right now from Diamond to Legend, and it basically runs a single copy of Royal Librarian. The rest of the deck really does look like the standard stuff, although Conflagrate has really grown on me for this deck, so if you can find room for it, that might be the way to go, like one less sketchy Sketch Artist or one less Sweetened Snow Flurry is what people are usually cut to include Conflict Rate nowadays, or the Silence. But yeah, this one does not run it. Anyway, the deck is still very quick. You could be winning very nicely with either 1 or 2 quest rewards. Sometimes 1 is more than enough, other times 2 really is what you should be going for against things like Leech Death Knights and such. And in certain matchups you could even win without putting even a single quest reward with the help of things like Horizon's Edge, even though that's gonna happen very, very rarely. Again, plenty of detailed guides about this one if you want to check them out, so let's just look at the updated matchups right now. As you see, plenty of green again, Leech Death Knight slightly under, same with Elemental Mage, and Dummy Warrior is the real problem for this deck, because if they tempo out a quick Tortilla, well, you're kinda dead in the water. When going first, you're gonna be looking for Blood Petal Biome for Kris Catacombs, Spellunker's MVP, Solarium straight out for turn 3, Sketch Artist if you don't have Solarium already, Mass Production also ain't the worst, the rest probably not so hot, even though if you do already have Kris Catacombs, I'd say holding onto Tidepool Pupil is also not a bad idea, because that's basically a turn 3 Kris Catacombs almost guaranteed. When going second, the situation is pretty much the same. Again, try to find your good temporary cards or ways to find them. Sweetened Snow Flurry or Sketch Artist, you don't want to be keeping both of those. Solarium, as long as you don't have Sketch Artist already, that kind of stuff. To be fair, Egg Warlock is also looking pretty strong right now, and it was actually the best performing Warlock deck not too long ago, a couple of days ago I think I noticed it. But for today, this is the variant I'm showing you with 3100 games, almost 60% win rate. But yes, Egg Warlock definitely has plenty of good iterations up there right now, and the variant with the Archdruid of Thorns definitely makes it a lot more consistent. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else viable for Warlock right now. There is the slower variant Egg Warlock, which is definitely not as good as the first one I showed you, but yeah, all around that's it about the Warlock class right now. Spot number 3 is for Pain Demon Hunter, and I have seen people in Top Legend do really amazing things with this one. The deck is super quick, super strong, and not that expensive to build. Well, this one in particular actually is kinda on the expensive side, even though a lot of the legendaries are actually cores or cards you definitely should have. The only legendary you might not have out of this deck should be Arana, I'd say. Ziliax everybody should have, and the other cards are basically core cards, and Zephrys, who is from a mini set, so you can't really not have him. I guess Patches is something you might not have, but I'd say you could go without him. Anyway, the deck is super quick, it does a lot of phase damage, and basically what it's trying to do is in the first 4 turns you're trying to slap as much phase damage as you can with the board, and after that you could be closing out games with things like Acupuncture, Hot Coals, Zephrys, and just all around phase damage you have from your things like Chaos Strike, weapons, and so on and so forth. So yeah, you could definitely be climbing very quickly with this. On turn 3 and turn 4 you could be having bomb turns with King Mukla and with the Haywire plus power module Ziliax, which are absolutely broken. And not very many classes can actually handle those that early. For the matchups, here's what the stats are showing right now. Leech Death Knight is definitely not going to be your friend, but if you're not facing too many of those, you can definitely give this deck a try. Going first, obvious, you want to be curving off with some of your good 1-drops. Don't keep 3 1-drops at the same time, however, it would be a little bit too quick in most cases. Spirit of the Team is absolutely insane, especially if you already have Battle Fiend or Sockpit. The weapon is pretty nice, drawing you your Living Flames and such. Living Flame also ain't bad, and if you're curving into Ziliax or Mukla, those would also be absolutely huge. Insect Claw could also be a consideration, but try to really have a good curve already for something like that. On the coin, again, the good old 1, 2, 3, 4, so try to mulligan accordingly. With Demon Hunter, we have so many options to choose from right now for best decks, but yes, this is the Pain Demon Hunter I showed you right now, and there's several different iterations with very close win rate and pretty good sample size as well. Ravenous Cliff Dive Demon Hunter also pretty broken, and I do have a video about it if you want to give it a check. Same with the Peddler Demon Hunter, which is doing amazingly well in Top Legend, which is called Chopper Demon Hunter here, but yeah, you get it. Space Demon Hunter is also working pretty well. So yeah, several different, absolutely different archetypes for Demon Hunter right now, all of which you could be hitting easy legend. On the number 4 spot, let's talk about Aggro Pally, and yeah, right now Aggro Pally is actually looking quite cracked. The deck is still as fast as ever, you get the curve out super strong with it, and you have a lot of ways to close out games around turn 4 and 5 with some big Crusader or Flash sales. You also have Ziliax in here that gives you the +1 attack on everybody, and it's also discount down to 0 basically. You have plenty of ways to go super wide on the board, and then basically follow up and buff it nicely. If you want to hear more details about how you should be piloting this deck properly, definitely check out my guides about about it, but let's see what the updated matchups are looking like, and things are actually looking pretty polarizing with this one. It basically comes down to are you facing these matchups, because if you're not, you're gonna have a very good time with this one. But Leech Death Knight, Pain Demon Hunter, and Elemental Mage definitely on the naughty list, with Pain Demon Hunter being at the top of it. Everything else, however, very green or close to 50 plus. So again, it's a quick deck, not expensive to build, and pretty effective. Going first with it, you're obviously gonna want to try to curve out as properly as you can with your good 1-drops. Don't keep too many of them, however. Maze Guide on turn 2 is definitely okay. Busybot is also pretty nice. Beaming Sidekick is also pretty decent. And heck, even the Wisp sometime could be okay. Like turn 1 Wisp plus Beaming Sidekick definitely ain't no joke. And if you already have a proper curve, you could even consider one of the 4-mana buffs in certain cases, but definitely already have a curve for it. On the coin, again, try to get the good 1-2-3. Muster for battle on turn 2 or 3 could be brutal depending on the matchup. Busybot also still as strong as ever. One of the good 1-drops, that kind of stuff. For other good Pally decks, obviously we also have Quest Pally up at the top. This is the aggro Pally list I'm showing you. Same win rate, almost 1000 games, definitely worth checking out. A similar variant of it has a lot less win rate here with the same sample size. However, here we have a even less win rate with even bigger sample size, so definitely comes down to the meta you're playing this deck in. Quest Pally, actually not that amazing nowadays, huh? And on the last spot, we have a very good budget option for you guys, which is having almost the same win rate as all the other decks we've talked about, but it only costs a fraction of the price. This particular variant doesn't run a single legendary, guys, and I did give you a guide about this deck a few days ago. Literally just 2 epics and 2 rares, the rest is freaking commons, guys. You cannot make this stuff up. Elemental Mage is super strong right now, very quick, very effective, and very cheap, so if that sparks your fancy, definitely give this deck a try. The games with it are awfully quick. You basically curve off with your good elementals in your first few turns, and then you close out the games with tons of burn damage with things like Spontaneous Combustion, Fireball, Lamplighter, the Triple Wick, the Windswept Page Turner also gives you a lot of extra damage, especially if you combo it with Solar Flare. All around, win or lose, it's gonna be happening quick with this one, so you're not gonna be wasting too much time climbing with it, which is definitely a good selling point if ranks is all you care about. For the matchups, we have tons of it because this deck is so damn accessible, but as you see, if you're seeing too many Death Knights, it's probably not gonna be your turn to have fun. Everything else, however, is very green, aside from Warrior, which is basically Death Knight's brother when it comes down to archetypes, but yeah, Quest Warrior, Taunt Warrior, and Dragon Warrior apparently, which is also a deck lately, are not gonna be super good for you, but nowhere near as close as bad as the Death Knight would be. For the matchups, you're basically trying to curve off like any other tribe board-centric deck would, try to get yourself a good 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop kind of deal, and definitely try to curve off properly, because some of your cards do require Kindred, like your Conjured Bookkeeper, and also in order to play Lamplighter, you need to have played an Elemental last turn, which is gonna go down later, but still something to think about. On the coin, again, you are gonna be looking out for your good 1-2-3s, so mulligan accordingly. For other good mage decks, we actually have tons of other variations of mages out there. This is the one I'm showing you, 2000 games plus with almost 58% win rate. Very, very good stuff for the last 3 days from Diamond to Legend. Protoss Mage is still very usable actually, Big Spell Mage is decent, Quest Mage is still as random as ever, but if you're really good at it, you can definitely do some amazing things. The rest are not so hot for it, however. Let me also show you what the meta looks like in top 1000 Legend. I've heard some of you guys would like to be seeing what the situation looks like, and yes, Pain Demon Hunter very top tier in top Legend, Quest Warlock as well is very nice, Ferak Rogue, still very random, very strong however, like you do control the randomness for the most part. Egg Warlock is also hella strong with the new inclusion of Archdruid of the Thorns. Shopper Demon Hunter is still strong, but you gotta be really good with it to make it work. For the classes we haven't mentioned from Diamond to Legend, here's what the situation looks like for the Druid class. Dollhouse Druid still is your best bet out of the lot. Actually, very respectable stats over here. Viana Druid still very playable as well. And I also faced this new Tsunami Druid yesterday. It was actually performing quite better than expected. It doesn't have amazing overall stats, but it's definitely something to look out for. Aggro Druid also playable, but nowhere near as good as the rest of the options. For Hunter, I could have just as easily included a Beast Hunter for the gajillion time in my top 5s, but I decided not to. And yeah, Beast Hunter is still hella strong, not that big a sample size, but still very good option for you. And that's really about it for the class. It's all sorts of different iterations of this. With Priest, Bandage Priest is looking quite strong. It is a very clunky deck to be playing with, however, and also the sample size is a little bit on the low end, so I decided not to include it in this one. Same with Protoss Priest. Several different iterations are doing pretty well, but no real outlier with very big sample size, so there's that. But yes, Protoss Priest still very strong Bandage Priest as well. Other than that, I don't think anything else is worth mentioning. Well, apparently this Control Priest is also out there. It's looking interesting indeed. It does have a lot of dragon stuff. It does even have Zarimi in here, but I don't know. It's a little bit on the whatever side nowadays. For Rogue, Ferak Rogue is still definitely at the top of his game, and you're gonna have to scroll quite a lot to see something other than that, but Psycho Rogue is still refusing to die as well. Space Rogue is playable, but nothing to write home about, and you could also gift check the Protoss Rogue if you want to be playing something from the past that hasn't been popular lately. The deck is actually still pretty worth it. With Shamans, Nebula Shaman is at the top of the list. Elemental Shaman definitely playable. This deck was a lot better a few days ago, by the way, and this version with the Sizzling Swarm was supposed to be really strong, but apparently from Diamond to Legend it's not doing as well as it should. And last but not least, we have Warrior, where Dummy Warrior and Quest Warrior are at the top of their game still. Dragon Warrior is something I've started noticing here and there, but all around, the real popular decks would be Dummy Warrior and Quest Warrior. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. I really hope this helps you hit Easy Legend in the month of October, and don't forget to check out Raid Shadow Legends if you want to support the channel for free. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.